Well, our first speaker for the evening is Adrian Cooks. He's a student at the University of North Texas, majoring in political science and minoring in marketing. Adrian identifies as a male with he, his, him pronouns and identifies as a pansexual. Adrian's been involved with the University of North Texas Short Film Club as a director of photography for the film Exuvia, and was part of the leadership for StartUP UNT Spring of 2016, an organization about understanding startup culture, and he's currently getting involved with North Texas Democrats and Alpha Omega, a campus Christian ministry. Adrian started his career at UNT as a radio, television, video, film student, and after issues arising due to personal commitments and a change of interest, starting in the spring of 2016, he made the switch to political science and has been flourishing under the moniker since. For the start of his church journey, Adrian coordinated volunteering service to coordination with Christian Community Action in Louisville and Alpha Omega in Denton. And Adrian finds spiritual life and finding a community of individuals to be essential to the development of a healthy individual. Political science has been important to Adrian Cooks because he identifies strongly as a Black egalitarian, a belief firmly based in equality and the hardships that he faced growing up. He believes through the process of political change that society can be influenced for the betterment of all communities. And he's very strongly for a secular country because it puts emphasis on equality for all belief systems and eliminates discrimination on ideological grounds. Adrian currently works for Apple as the University of North Texas's campus representative and is considering going down the career path to becoming a salesman. His ultimate goal, however, is to work as a presenter for public broadcasting service, also known as PBS, and for NewsHour or Frontline on the National Public Radio Service. He's excited to share his story and prays that everyone can learn from his life experiences. Please welcome Adrian up to the stand.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh wow, I yelled into this mic. So hello everyone. Thank you for having me. Just as a heads up for this presentation, I wanted to segment this off like I would segment a book, with an epilogue with 4 chapters. Starting with the epilogue, the story of Outrageous Oral History begins with the story of what I like to call Bucking Kathleen the series. I actually met Kathleen before it was in the Pride Alliance in Sage Hall. It's currently in the Pride Alliance. The Pride Alliance is currently located in the Union 372. Her influence in my life has been substantial because she's been able to listen to all my hardships and problems that I've been dealing with throughout my entire life. So I want to give out another shout out just to Kathleen, wherever she is. There we go. There we go. She brought up the idea of me pursuing this presentation opportunity. I wanted to give this, she's played an insurmountable role in helping me develop to be a better person overall. She brought up the idea of me pursuing the presentation opportunity because I wanted to talk about the intersection between violence, disability, and sexuality that I experienced when I grew up. I wanted to express myself somewhere where I felt like I could have the greatest impact on the community at large. I also want to shout out to Joshua, who's in the back next to Kathleen as well, for letting me practice with him for the past 3 months on this presentation. I know I was a little nervous out the gate, but I want to give a shout out to that. Over the course of even writing this presentation, I've actually developed. The cool thing about writing for presentations in general is that I was able to learn more about myself, and I was able to change as an individual, and my story changed to go along with it right up until this morning when I finished the presentation notes. With that in mind, I'm going to start I'm going to get out of the epilogue phase of this presentation. I'm going to get right into the beginning, chapter 1. So let's begin. I'm going to start this off with a quote. To quote that I stole from Dead Poets Society. To quote from Whitman, "O me, O life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish. What good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists in identity, that the powerful play goes on so that you may contribute a verse, that the powerful play goes on so that you may contribute a verse." What will your verse be? So, once again, my name is Adrian Jamal Cooks. I was born in the DFW area. Is anyone here from Duncanville, Texas? Anyone? No one? That's okay. It's okay. Not many people are from Duncanville. I'm currently, as was said earlier, I'm currently studying in the University of North Texas for political science with a minor in marketing. I changed over from Converge Broadcast Media because I wasn't smart enough for it. No, I love the program. I just had a change of interests. I chose political science because I love reading. I love the politics behind that. I have this idealized goal of working for PBS or NewsHour or Frontline and covering current events and issues because I find that to be, I guess, invigorating. So this is my verse. At the very beginning, I said I wanted to talk about this as a part of an intersection between disability, sexual violence, and sexuality, and I'm going to start off with disability. Chapter 2, disability. So what is disability to you? And this is an open question. Anyone can answer it? No one wants to answer it? Disability to me can mean anything from a physical handicap, from like a loss of a limb, to mental handicaps as well. There's a reason why I spent the initial part of this script talking about disability. The amount of shame that I suffered knowing that I had mental health disabilities was only truncated by a life-changing event that happened to me when I was 15. To me, disability comes in a four-letter phrase, well, two four-letter phrases if you want to be more accurate. Today, I just want to cover this one, non-verbal learning disability. So, who here knows what NVLD is, or nonverbal learning disability? I'm going to guess that's a no. That's fine. Only 1% of the US population has it currently. It basically inhibits my ability to communicate, to understand communication that's nonverbal, which based off some research that I've found and some books I've read about it, encompasses about 80% of human communication. With that in mind, has anyone here ever been sarcastic before? I know it's kind of a broad, it sounds like a silly question, but who here has been flirted before? Yeah? Okay, so who here has dated a few times? Yeah? Yeah, a few? Well, imagine not being able to understand the concept of flirting. Imagine not being able to understand the concept of sarcasm. Now, that was my life from 10 to 15, actually, because I never had anyone that could guide me through those concepts. It seems silly if you think about it. Like, why would someone not understand what sarcasm is? Why would someone not understand what flirting is? But for a demographic of people, that is actually just something that isn't understood. So not only did I struggle with that, I struggled with connecting with people in general. Especially people my age, now I think about it. This is crucial because when you connect with people, you connect with not only those individuals, but their ideas as well. This was crucial because when you're able to connect with people and you're able to explore these ideas outside of what you're socialized into with your family you're able to develop your own sense of self. I didn't really think I was, until I got out of high school. Chapter 3, violence. This is going to be the hard part, so if I cry, I'll try not to. So when I was 15, I was a very isolated individual because of that fundamental lack of understanding of people. I had given up on that prospect of connecting with others because I was made fun of for the fact that it's hard to explain, it's hard to articulate that sort of message in a sense. I would be made fun of quite a bit on racial grounds. I grew up in a very homogenized town. I hated this idea of being destitute, but it seemed like the only other option instead of being bullied. I figured I'd rather be alone, if I want to be honest. So I took something away at age 15 that was really tragic. So my mom brought a family friend along, and long story short, I'm going to spare a lot of the details of the event itself because it's extremely hard for me to talk about. as you can kind of tell by my voice. I became a survivor of sexual violence at the age of 15. I call the ages of 15 to 20 my darkest years, starting in June, because that was the time period where I was left in the most amount of confusion of my entire life. And I will never forget any of those moments that happened. I was a very raw person emotionally. I really wanted everybody to feel what I was actually going through when I went through those events, but I didn't feel like I made those connections with other individuals in my age group that would be necessary in order to have those conversations in the first place. In fact, I'm not even sure if like a 15-year-old can talk about sexual violence in a sense. There were some even darker questions in regards to my sexuality that were brought up by my family members as well. I'm not going to bring up the full details on that because that's really going to upset me, if I'm going to be honest. I never really trusted people for a long time because I've always felt like I was going to get hurt at the end of the day. So with that, combined with the fact that I was very introverted, I didn't really make real friends that I'd be able to call support, be able to support those needs. I'm not too sure if there are people my age that can handle what I went through back when I was growing up, because I know I certainly couldn't. In fact, I'm still not sure people my age can handle this today. Recovery, chapter 3, or chapter 4, recovery. Recovery. So, it was around 18 where I was finally able to begin more of the healing process. If I was in high school in 15, I graduated from high school at around 18. At that point, I had years of psychiatrists and help work with therapists that helped me develop more as an individual. But I still wasn't quite where I needed to be. I just would wish my mom was here for this, but it was her work with getting me a combination of psychiatrist, therapist, and some brave work on my end to get some familiar support that really brought me to where I was when I turned 18. This is probably going to be the shortest segment of this because I'm still working on it, the recovery process. And so like even once again, when I was saying I was writing this morning, disability and violence were already actually written. I was writing this segment this morning because I still have to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life when it comes to dealing with this this event. Going to something a little bit more positive, I guess. I was introduced to Kathleen back when the Pride Alliance was before it was in Sage Hall. It was in Sage 328, I believe, before we moved to the Union 372. One of the things that I remembered was that she introduced me with she and her pronouns. Now, I remember I was completely startled by that because I never met anyone who says, "Hi, my name's Kathleen. I use she and her pronouns. What's your name?" That was just a paradigm shift and a game changer for me in terms of the way I thought about gender, sex, and sexuality. In fact, I wouldn't be able to say gender, sex, sexuality differentiated if it wasn't for her. And the healing process really began at that point. We started talking back and forth more. I would open up about some of my problems. And I built confidence in myself in a way that I would probably never trust anyone else to my age to do so. At the time, at least. When I was 19, she introduced me to this concept, this cool event called Outrageous Oral History. I had the goal of not only being able to express myself fluently, but someday another Adrian Cooks would watch this film and be able to relate to it in a meaningful way, just to make sure that they don't feel alone. With that in mind, I'd like to end this with a quote. The same quote at the beginning, actually. "O me, O life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, what good amid these, O me, O life? Answer that you are here, that life exists in identity, that the powerful play goes on so that you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be? Well, this is my verse. Thank you.